messages out, a lot of signal out there, and waiting for some type of relevancy to come back to you. That's a lot of work. So open up, again, do the math, 15 to 30 recs open on my desk. I'm making anywhere from 20 to 40 calls to find relevant candidates. That's a lot of activity that you all are doing. So how do we make that more efficient for you? How do we think about tools and products and signaling that'll make those calls easier and faster and more efficient? So I know this is a top of mind because when we sit and do surveys, and I do a lot of survey work, and this is a recent one I did, and we went out and asked recruiters, what's the thing you care most about? And I won't take you through all of this, but when we asked recruiters, what's the thing that matters most to you? Top of the list, a service that offers the highest quality of information about a candidate. Again, highest quality information. So it's not the best communication tools, which is number 2, by the way, or the most relevant candidates. It's the best information. And I believe that answer is there because people are saying, give me more information so I can do less cold calling, so I can get to the relevant candidates faster. That makes sense. So how do we get better quality information in the system? Well, it turns out there's a lot of information about candidates out there these days. I just grabbed 4 of my profiles that sit out in the open web. We've got my LinkedIn profile. We've got my profile from my graduate school at Columbia. We've got my Facebook profile, and we got my Small World profile. That's 4. There's probably 4 or 5 more. My Twitter profiles and other things that I've got out there. So there's abundance of information about people out there. What's the problem? Why do we need more quality information? It's all out there. I've got, you can figure out my birthday, you got a picture of my kid on here, you got where I went to school, what my job titles are. It's all right there. What's the problem? I would argue that the problem is it's not the correct information. It's not contextually relevant. And most importantly, it doesn't give any intent modeling. What is intent modeling? Nowhere in this information does it say that, hey, Eric wants a new job in, not product, but I want to be a COO, or I want to move into sales, or I want to move across the country, or I want a higher title but I want less money. These are all very contextually relevant pieces of information that don't show up in any of these open profiles. So what you're left, what I believe you all are left to do is probe and make a lot of cold calls to try and figure out that context, to try and figure out the core pieces of information. So maybe a service that gives us more relevant, contextually exact information on job search is what's needed. And that's what I'm playing with. So why will that work, and why do I think something like that would be interesting? Well, there's somebody out there doing intent modeling right now and doing it really, really, really well. Who is that? That happens to be this company called Google. Google does intent modeling really well, and in fact, they've built a bazillion-dollar business on intent modeling. How does that work? Well, I'm trying to buy a new place in Brooklyn right now, so I go in, and this is true, so I type in real estate lawyers in Brooklyn. Well, Google is now going out to a bunch of advertisers, a bunch of vendors, and saying, hey, Eric is really interested in real estate lawyers in Brooklyn. And what do you get on Google, on this, we call it on the top header or the right rail over here, you find a bunch of real estate lawyer in Brooklyn and $750 lawyers and Brooklyn real estate lawyers. Because what I've said is I'm interested in something, Google's sending me back information. It's intent modeling. I've modeled my intent and I'm getting information back. In fact, Google's so good at this, they can actually tell us, if you go into AdWords, you know exactly how many searches a month are happening for real estate lawyers in Brooklyn. Turns out it's 720 a month. And to be an advertiser, to take that content hole to advertise, it costs $7.35 per 1,000 impressions. They've gotten it so good that I can model intent, and they can go to advertisers and say, to get to Eric, here's how much it's going to cost. So why don't we have that kind of intent modeling for you all? Why are you all still making cold calls? Why are you all still probing the market, making 20 to 40 calls per candidate, trying to find relevant candidates? I would say it's because nobody's modeling intent. That's where I'm going to go next with my product. I want to model intent for job seekers to have them tell you more about where they want to go next. What does that look like? Well, we started with a beta. A beta for us is put something out small, easy to understand, that isn't a big commitment from us because we want to probe it and see if it'll work, and isn't a big commitment from the job seeker because we don't want to bug them too much. But we did a little bit of trial work, and we put some things out. And we started asking questions like, and And as we said, help recruiters know more about you. Answer these questions. If you were offered a better job in another industry, would you take it? Yes or no? Really simple types of question architectures, trying to model more contextually relevant, intent-driven stuff. And so we started asking this stuff, and we asked a bit more. What size company would you prefer to work for? We started asking that, and we started asking a little bit more. How do you feel about going to work every day? How do you feel about where you live? How do you feel about where you live now? Meaning, like, do you want to move cities? When you go to work in the morning, what are you most grateful for? What best describes you? If you're offered a better job in another industry, would you take it? Do you want to manage people at your next job? And all these other things that people generally don't put into their open profiles. These are modeling of intent. And so what I want to give back to the recruiters in the room is I want to start modeling out what people want for their next jobs and their careers. So when you're probing them, you can bring your spectrum of calls down from 20 to 40 per candidate, maybe down to 5 or 10. I'm not trying to do your jobs for you. You guys are still the ones that are going to model out who the best fit is, who the best personalities, who's going to work best. But I'm trying to put more information at your fingertips. We put this out there in a small beta. We haven't advertised it. We haven't made it a big part of our platform. It's been out there for a few months. For our base of candidates, already we've gotten 850,000 answers to these questions. Meaning, people are willing to answer this kind of stuff. People, when they enter into the job search, are more than willing to tell us about themselves. And I want to pass that information on to you all. I want to give you a better way to model intent. So as we start rolling this out through the end of this year and into next year, you'll see more types of this contextually relevant modeling of intent within our products that'll help you go beyond the simple resume. So in fact, we're kind of internally calling it the third page of the resume. The first 2 pages we all get of the resume. Let's get a third page in there that gives more intent modeling. So that's where I'm going with my products. That's the way I'm thinking. I didn't do a big pitch for TheLadders, but I thought I'd put up this photo. Here's TheLadders. We're actually not like a small 20, 30, 40 person shop. We're actually 400 people. And this is this company. I think you guys all know Mark Sanadella. That's him right there. But we're a big company, big technology group. We're constantly innovating and trying new ways to bring better tools for recruiters and candidates within the 100K space. Thank you very much, and take your questions.